Good evening, everybody. This is the regularly scheduled meeting of the Somerville Planning Board. It is 6:05 p.m. on February 2nd, 2023. I'm Mike Capuano. I'm the chairman of the Planning Board. With me tonight is the Vice Chair, Amelia Aboff, the clerk, Erin Gino. We have Jahan Habib and Debbie Howard Easton, who you may have all seen previously because they've all been members of the planning board and or alternates for many, many years prior. We have two new members who I would like to introduce. We have Michael McNeely, who is joining us this evening for the first time as a member of the board, and Luke Schuster, who is also joining us this evening as a member of the board. So I want to welcome them to this first meeting of the planning board, which will turn into a joint hearing with the land use committee in about a half hour. So I just want to make sure that they are properly well noted and welcomed to the board. The first item on our agenda this evening, or we have several items rather on our agenda this evening. One of which is 256 to 260 Elm Street, which is planning and zoning 21-039, and 270 Elm Street, planning and zoning 21-042. It is my understanding that that applicant has requested continuance to the meeting on the 16th, right? So is that correct?
This is Rose speaking. That is correct.
Okay. Well, actually, you know what? I failed in my duties as a chairman because pursuant to Chapter 107 of the Act of 2022, this meeting of the planning board will be conducted via remote participation. A recording of these proceedings can be accessed at any time during the registration link at the top of the agenda. And with that applicant having made a request to continue to the 16th, the chair so moves to continue that agenda item to the 16th, seconded by Amelia. A roll call vote. The chair votes aye.
Amelia votes aye.
Jahan votes aye.
Erin votes aye.
Michael votes
Debbie
aye.
votes aye. Debbie votes aye.
Luke votes aye.
Okay, that agenda item has been continued, and that was agenda item 039. We have a second agenda item, which is 21-042, and the same applicant for the same project has continuance to the meeting on the 16th. The chair moved to continue that agenda item to the 16th. Seconded by Amelia. The chair votes aye.
Amelia votes aye.
Jahan votes aye.
Erin votes aye.
Debbie votes aye.
Michael votes aye. Luke votes aye.
Agenda item is continued. I would like to identify other items on the agenda. For the planning board this evening, the only other one is 59 Bow Street, which has been previously opened and heard, taken, and I would like to invite the applicant to be recognized and unmuted and have a screen shared as necessary.
This is Risa speaking. I do see Anne Vigorida's hand raised. I will unmute her. Anne, you have been unmuted.
Thank you, Risa. Good evening, Chairman Capuano, members of the Planning Board. As stated, we were here a couple of weeks ago. There were some concerns or some thoughts raised by the Planning Board, and we did take them to heart. Also joining me this evening is Ilan Sassoon, our applicant, as well as Philip Keener from Balance Architects. So there was a discussion regarding the bedroom counts. I know the board made suggestions they'd like to see some 2-bedroom units. We did not want to change the number of units, as that would have changed the amount of inclusionary units. And I know the city is in great need of those. So I am going to ask that you allow Phil Seamer to present the plans. But what we've done is created 2-bedroom units and, made the 1-bedrooms into studios. But I'm going to have Phil go through those. I think the visuals will be by far beneficial. And as far as the mobility issues, GM2 worked with mobility, but we have not heard back from mobility yet. So we don't have their feedback, unfortunately. But like I said before, let's have Phil review those plans and, take it from there. Thank you.
This is Risa speaking. Phil, you have been made into a presenter. You should be able to share your screen and speak.
Good evening, everyone. This is Philip Sema from Balance Architects. Are you viewing the perspective of 59 Bow Street?
This is Risa
No.
speaking.
We're looking at your File Explorer page. There we go.
All right, thank you. So just a reminder, this is what 59 Bow Street, the proposed idea looks like. So ground floor cafe restaurant with some ground floor residential. And then on floors 2, 3, and 4, we had all 1-bedroom units. There were 4 of them per floor. Then the top floor had a 2-bedroom unit. So we looked at revising the layout to get some 2-bedrooms into the floor plans. So the plan on the bottom is what we had before, all 1-bedroom units. And then we looked at on floors 3 and 4, converting the front bedroom unit into a 2-bedroom and shrinking this middle unit, so unit 9 on this floor, into a studio, while the other 2 units remain the same. So in total, this changes that 1-bedroom count on these 2 floors. So now we have some studios and 2 bedrooms in the mix. So that was the first change that we made. The second, there was a concern about landscaping and how this could actually be real, to have kind of vines on a cornice. And so we talked with our landscape architect. This decorative element is not part of our green score calculation. And they pointed us to actually some really nice work in South Boston over the Broadway. These are artificial plants that are more of a decoration, and they just suggested in this application that it might be more fitting. We're open to it. We think it can give a really nice look and not have the issues of irrigation and maintenance. And then the final, I just want to show kind of what we talked with planning, or sorry, mobility, but we haven't received an answer yet, was moving the existing ADA parking spot in the building up 1 space and then allowing for either a drop-off zone here or in front of Stanhope Framers, removing a parking spot and then having a kind of temp drop-off area over here. So those are the changes that we have made since we last met.
Could I ask you, please? I know one of the concerns that was raised by members of the board, particularly by Amelia, was on some of the mobility issues for which we have not yet gotten a response from the city. It's still under review, but a concern that was raised by both myself and I believe Aaron was the unit count and the number of bedrooms per unit. Could you go over again? I think you had a slide that showed the differences that, yeah, I think that's right. As to where you're planning to change some of this. So I'm looking at some red strikeouts and some text on the side. I'm hoping you might be able to explain that for us.
Yeah, so these on floors 3 and 4, where we previously had 4 units per floor, where each unit was a 1-bedroom. We've now taken unit 10 and unit 14 and made this a 2-bedroom. And we basically made this happen by cannibalizing the bedroom in one of the units. So what was 2 bedrooms before per floor now becomes a 2-bedroom unit and a studio unit. And you can see that in the plan comparing the original, which is down here, and the proposed, which is up here. So this unit becomes a studio and this unit becomes a 2-bedroom, and this happens on 2 floors. And we chose the floors with the largest floor footprint because of a zoning regulation, we're allowed to make the bays slightly larger on the 3rd and 4th floors. And so that's why we chose the 3rd and 4th floor for this.
So I appreciate you taking into consideration some of the concerns that were raised at the last meeting on the bedroom layout. That was kind of my primary concern, and I think you've moved in a direction that that I'd be supportive of. So I would like to welcome other members of the board to address this issue if they'd like. I know that the mobility portion of your application is still under consideration, so I'm not prepared to talk to it this evening, but if anybody has any comments or concerns based on what you've presented this evening, I would love to hear people's opinions. Yes, Amelia.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As the member who raised the mobility consideration here, it would appear to me as though the two possible solutions that the team has identified here and put forward to mobility would both be adequate and otherwise, which is to say, I would be prepared to vote on this tonight and not let that hold this application up for another 2 weeks if we were to consider a condition that they would coordinate with mobility moving forward on that issue. I think this is a project that is otherwise excellent, and the revisions they've come back with are sufficient to move it forward, in just my opinion.
Thank you. Before we do that, can I ask Risa, who's on call this evening, is staff comfortable with the planning board moving forward without a formal recommendation from mobility?
This is Risa speaking. Sarah White is the case planner for this project, and I will ask Sarah White to speak on it. Sarah, are you on the call?
I sure am. Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. Staff would not be comfortable with that with an approval until we do hear from mobility, because I think that there are some considerations that need to be taken into account, such as the handicap parking that currently exists on Bow Street, that is not necessarily something that we would want to lose and see removed in lieu of loading and ride share space, etc. So staff would not feel very comfortable at all conditioning it, and would prefer to hear back from mobility, which I would anticipate they would get back to us within the next couple of days, so that there would be something available for the next meeting.
Very much. Amelia, are you, I assume you're satisfied with the response from staff, but I won't speak for you. Will you be okay waiting for a couple of weeks for a formal recommendation from the mobility department?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I just didn't want the consideration that I alone had raised to hold up this application if the rest of the board and staff were otherwise comfortable with it.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Does anybody else have any comments or questions of the applicant at this time? Kind of keeping in mind the conversation that we had a few weeks ago and the response that we had this evening from staff. Does anybody want to add anything? Or yes, Mr. Schuster.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Just a quick housekeeping. I correct me if this isn't the right moment to say this, but I watched the video of the proceedings 2 weeks ago and filled out and sent in the affidavit that I've done that. So hope that allows me to participate in this moving forward.
No, thank you, Luke. So let me clarify for our 2 new members. So I probably should have done that a few minutes ago. So if you have had the opportunity to review the last meeting, I believe state law allows you to miss 1 meeting, review the transcript or the video on that, such that you were able to participate as a voting member at the next meeting. If you have already done so, then had we gone to a vote tonight, then Luke, you would have been able to vote. And Michael, I don't know if you have, But I would suggest that for when this comes up in another couple of weeks, that you all review the meeting that we had a few weeks ago so that you can say that you were full participants. Yes, Michael.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was going to confirm the same thing. I have watched the hearing. I was actually here live 2 weeks ago, and I have signed an affidavit with the staff.
I think that affidavit has to go to the city clerk's office. So just
This
to
is
make sure
Rice.
that's, yep.
Sorry to interrupt, Mr. Chair. Actually, it does get filed with staff, so as long as I have a copy, you're all good.
I think it's a recusal or a statement of conflict that has to be filed with the clerk then. But so thank you for both reviewing the last meeting. You both reviewed the last meeting, filed it with staff. You've both been present for this meeting. So when this application comes to what is likely a vote in 2 weeks, you will be more than capable of moving forward with voting with the remainder of the planning board. So I think unless we have anything else from members of the board, do I see John?
Mr. Chair? Yes, Mr. Chair, I just wanted to mention, since I was unable to attend the last board meeting on January the 19th, I've also watched the recording of the video proceedings of the meeting, and also shared the affidavit, similar to Luke and Michael as well. So I just wanted to be known for the record. Thank you very much.
Thanks, John, for making sure that we're all on board on that. Does anybody else have? Yes, Aaron.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sorry, one final comment maybe on the application around the vegetation. And I just want to thank the applicant for clarifying sort of what the rendering showed here. I mean, honestly, I would love to see real plants. It would be great. I appreciate not wanting to get on a 15-foot ladder to water them every other day or every 4 hours in the summer, and the irrigation concerns that come along with that. And appreciate having, even faux plants, high quality faux plants as shown in this South Broadway example is better than, sort of proper dead plants. So, I thank you for sort of the clarification on this. I like the design element. Would prefer live plants, but I don't think that's sufficient to hold up what is an otherwise good application. So that's the only comment. Just thank you for clarifying.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have anything that they would like to add for the benefit of this project? Since you're all very small to me and kind of looking.
Chairman?
Mr.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Chairman.
That's Sarah.
I'm
I'm sorry,
sorry.
who's speaking? Who's speaking?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, this is Sarah White speaking. Could I ask a question, please, of the board?
You can ask as many as you want.
Thank you so much. Through you, Mr. Chairman, as staff, I would like to understand how the board feels about the changes that were made to the bedroom count, since that was a lengthy discussion last time, and there was a new proposal put forward. So that would be very helpful to me, as I go through and provide you with another supplemental memo next time. So if you would, I would really appreciate that.
I'm happy to go first because it was one that I raised, and I was hesitant about this project because of that. I think that the applicant has done a reasonable job in addressing some of my concerns about making things slightly bigger for additional family sizes. And so, this isn't, a 200 unit building. This is a reasonably moderate building. I think I'm prepared, so long as mobility is okay with it, to move forward with the application as is.
Mr. Chair, this is Attorney Vigorito. The team has discussed among ourselves, we had an original mobility plan, and GM2, who's been our traffic engineer from the outset, they don't feel mobility is going to make any changes to this. So the thought process was, to allow you to vote tonight with the original mobility plan that was submitted. I don't know if that's something that the board would want to entertain.
So my concern, Attorney Figueredo, is that staff is not comfortable moving forward without a formal recommendation by the mobility department. And it very well might be that mobility agrees and makes no change in their recommendation that's satisfactory. But the reason that I asked that earlier this evening was because I wanted to make sure that staff was okay with the kind of non-recommendation yet, or the pending recommendation, before we move forward with the vote. And the answer was a pretty affirmative, no, we're not ready to sign off on this yet. I don't like voting on applications where there are pending recommendations from very relevant municipal departments, where they say, no, we're not ready to go forward. We actually need to review this stuff. So I respect your position. I'm not ready to make a vote on this application tonight.
Understood. I mean, we were just stating that we would go with the original plan submitted and approved by mobility as opposed to the newer ones, because from what we're being made to understand through GM2 is that mobility isn't going to want to change anything that we've already submitted. So that was, the thought, because that might allow you to vote this evening, since it would be something that mobility had originally approved and, was comfortable with.
I want, particularly based on this new bedroom count, I want a formal sign off is where I'm at. I understand where you're coming from, but I'm hesitant to move forward until every relevant department has had their say with what you presented as a modified application.
Understood completely. It's just we heard, other members, wanting to, have a vote tonight. So we had thought as a team, if we could simplify it, we would definitely, do so. But understood.
No, I respect that. Thank you. Does anybody else on the board have any comments or questions before we half-heartedly adjourn for about a minute and a half before we reconvene as a joint hearing? Seeing none, what I'd like to do is continue this application to the meeting on the 16th. Seconded by Amelia. The chair votes aye.
Amelia votes aye.
Johan votes aye.
Karen votes aye.
Debbie votes aye.
Michael votes aye.
Luke votes aye.
This agenda item is continued to the 16th. Thank you all very much for your new application, and we'll see you in a few weeks. Thank you.
Very
Thank you.
much.
Good evening. Thanks.
So, Risa, because we're going to reconvene in about a minute's time, I think you put this into recess and we reconvene on a separate meeting. So I'm going to X out of this. And I suggest the remainder of the board do the same. You should all have received an invitation from Peter Porcelisi for the Land Use Committee meeting that starts in a minute. So I would ask you all to X out. Right, so we'll put up a, we'll be back in a few minutes after lunch type of sign, and we will do that as well. Although there is no more meetings for the planning board, we still need to close out formally our meeting after the land use committee. So don't think that you're done quite yet. I'll see you on another platform in 2 seconds. Bye.
Yeah, I've been on this board for a long time, and I always thought that we had to come back to this link to adjourn the meeting, and that at the end of leaving the land use committee, we just went into recess again and then reconvened here. So I'm pretty confused, especially since Mike and Risa don't seem to be here. I will text Risa.
That was my understanding as well.
Right.
This is Risa speaking. I'm sorry, Emily, can you say the question one more time for me? I'm sorry, I was having dinner.
We're all confused because we thought we had to come back to this meeting to vote to adjourn the meeting. Usually we just end the land use committee by going into recess and then reconvening here. So Mike confused us all. Please tell us what we need to do to be legally correct.
Did he close the meeting at the other hearing?
Yes, he voted to adjourn until the 16th and we all voted on, or most of us voted on it.
Let me call him.
Okay.
I guess that I thought it was like procedurally we were closing that version of the Russian nesting dolls of meetings.
Right. That's how I saw it too.
But this is
Historically,
also,
we've always had to come back here.
yeah.
Right.
Well, while we're waiting, nice to meet all of you.
Welcome.
Looking forward to working together. Yeah.
And you as well.
You passed the, trick fake meeting ending. So
Yeah, well, or did we all miss the hidden message in the instructions and we all failed actually? We'll see.
This is Risa speaking. You are supposed to return to this link to end the meeting. I just spoke to the chair. He will be here shortly.
thank you, Risa.
All right, we did pass. Yeah.
How did this work in person? Would you just sort of like go into another room? Like what?
Oh yeah, complete chaos migrating between conference rooms.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm completely not sure how that would work. This is just how it works for the joint hearings remotely.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. I'm sorry for the clerical error here. So with no further business for the planning board, I move to adjourn this meeting of the planning board, seconded by Amelia. The chair votes aye.
Amelia votes aye.
Jahan votes aye.
Aaron votes aye.
Luke votes aye.
Good night, everybody. Finally, sorry.
Thank
Good night,
you.
everybody.
Good night.